Hi everyone, how
Hi.
are you?
Good to see everyone. Welcome back to our channel. And it's been a while since we did our last show, and we're so happy to see you with us. Before we start, we ask you to please go and press our subscribe button so that you can get all our next shows also, and share it with your friends, and let us know if there are particular topics that you want us to discuss. And also we invite you, if you have an interesting story to tell, to contact us and be a guest on our show. So without a further ado, we're starting with our today's topic, which is
Love.
love, love, love.
Love. What is
All you need
love?
is love.
Everybody seems to be running after love. Do they even know what they're running after? What do you have to do to attain it? What do you have to do to nurture it? What isn't love? You know, is it only a feeling? Is it a way of being? What is love?
So I want to start by saying that love is the same numerical value of love is also God's name in Hebrew, which is Yud Hey Vav Hey, which is 26. And so God is all about love. So we're saying that love on one hand is not just a feeling, it's actions, but it's also a state of mind. And I think that's prior to everything, is it's a state of mind. That in order to have the feeling of love, we need to first put ourselves in that state of mind and do actions of love, regardless of what we feel. And then after we put ourselves in a state of mind of love, which gives us the strength to do loving actions, loving and kind actions, then we also get to feel love. Do you know how it is that when you give something to someone, if you give a gift, it so many times feels so much better than receiving a gift, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at that feeling, you will find that that's love inside of you, right? So in Judaism, we start the day and end the day with the prayer of love, with actually putting ourselves in state of mind of love. Every time we say Shema Israel, listen Israel, God is one, and that goes back to the idea that the numerical value of God and love is the same, is that every time we say Shema Israel, God is one, listen to the concept that God is one. Listen Israel. Who's Israel? It's me and you. Listen Israel. Listen Israel. Listen. I'm telling you my heart. My heart, hey, listen. God is one. There's only one thing that runs the world, and that is love. We also say, Olam Chesed Yibaneh. The world is established on love. The world is built on love. God had built the world, established the world on the foundation of love. Only love keeps us going.
But there's a lot of different definitions.
There's a lot of different definitions.
So what kind of love are you talking about? What kind of love is it that God is made of? What the universe is actually made of? What is it?
So I think that when we talk about love, our headspace very fast goes into the idea of romantic love. And everybody,
fairy tales,
right? And everybody wants a romantic love.
Yeah,
and that's fair enough. We should want a romantic love, and that fills our heart tremendously. Even though there are so many different other loves, there's just a friendly love, and there's a parent and children love, and there's all so many for animals, for plants. But that's exactly it. That we need to be in a state of mind of love. So we have to start the day and end the day by saying, I commit to love, regardless of what I feel. Even if I'm not in love right now, even if my heart is not flowing with love. We're pouring out with love,
Mhm.
like a cup. Imagine a cup that is overpouring, right? So even if my heart is not overpouring with love, I still commit to love. That's a very important concept to get into ourselves and really inhale it deep. And to just really, like, no matter what, I commit to love. That's like, it's like a wow concept. It's and you know, we mumble off these words, "Ve'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol modecha." How much do we even think about those amazing words? Love God with all your heart and all your soul and all your everything. All your very much. What is me'od? Me'odecha. Me'odecha is your very much, basically. All your very much. Everything that you have, all the energies that you have, right? Your physical energy, your emotional energy, your financial energy, everything that you have in this world should serve you to love. We're not talking about, you know, what we're basing our existence on is we don't tell God morning and night, hey, listen, Israel, God should love me. The world should love me. Right? What we're saying is, I commit to love the world. Yet what we're doing in action is we're walking around waiting for someone to love us. Right? So I meet a person on the street, for example, and my reaction could be, hey, how are you? You know, give them a hug and a smile and a reaction of love, right? Or I could wait for them to give me a smile, and then I'll decide if I'll be a loving person to them, which is most of the energy that is happening in the world. Let's first see how happy they are to see me, so that I'll decide if they're worth my energies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's a big ego thing there, you know, like also, and I think that it sits very strongly on our feelings of abandonment, our feelings of like lack of love that we received in our childhood. But it doesn't matter what it sits on. Yes, okay, all that is good justification. Or even our post traumas or whatever it is. But it doesn't matter what it sits on. Do we want to heal? Or do we want to continue figuring out what our pain is sitting on?
Yesterday, when I went to Tel Aviv, I decided I was going to connect with every person that I met. Hi, how are you? With a smile and a positive attitude. Everybody reacted in a positive way. You know, and I wish that I had the energy to be able to do that, because it gave me a feeling of like a much bigger, broader thing happening. You know, it wasn't about me. I was hooked into an energy of the universe. It was incredible.
And it filled you up.
It filled me up.
How did I know?
Doesn't matter, you know. It's like everyone will react to it. It's almost like everyone fundamentally is in that space. That's where we all came from.
Right.
So it's great.
Right.
But how do you maintain that? You have to come from the place.
So first of all, the spiritual level of it is that we say that prayer day and night. By the way, you can say Shema Yisrael 20,000 times a day.
I know.
Seriously, like if you,
I love that.
if I feel like I'm in lack of love, right? Like I'm in lack of coffee. I go and I make myself another cup of coffee.
Right.
I'm in lack of another glass of water. I go and I need more than one glass of water a day, right? I need a few portions of love a day.
So it's like a tool? You can use the Shema or bring that out in you?
Right. So like, you know, like what we basically make it a mindful prayer. We connect, we tap into that energy. So first of all, when we do that twice a day at least, it already fills us up with that tapping into that energy
It's true.
of I want to be a loving person.
It's true.
Just the actual fact that we'll be saying that with actually filling ourselves with mindfulness that this is what where I want to be at. I want to use my money to love. I want to use my emotional energy to love. I want to use my smile to love. I want to use my hands to embrace people and give them a hug and give them, people are willing to pay, money to get physical
pleasure.
Even before the pleasure. People so much need a hug. Right? We all need a hug. It's so precious to us.
Human contact.
Yeah, even before the sexuality and all that, just the basic physical connection.
Yeah.
So they made this amazing show at some point in Israel. They opened up a kindergarten in an elder's home. And they showed that the vital signs of the elders have improved tremendously over the course of 8 weeks only.
Wow.
So there were actually people in a wheelchair who started walking.
Wow.
There were people, in very hard conditions physically that were just back to life, literally. And they actually measured them 3 times a day. Before they met the kids in the morning, after they met them in the middle of the day, and in the evening, and they showed how before they were a little bit less in the middle of the day after being with the kids for all these hours, and the kids, the kids are also lacking a lot of grandparents' connection in our generation.
That's true.
And a lot of adult affection also, because a lot of the parents are just okay, just go and watch a movie, and leave me alone kind of thing, right? So the kids are really also looking for older people to be a role model and to be a loving figure, and the kids really need that a lot. They showed that, it's been shown over and over in research that how even kids who live, for example, in an orphanage home or in the hospital by their parents and didn't have a nurturing adult from their day one.
Right.
It actually influences their cognitive development.
I know.
Just those hugs, that smile, looking at somebody's face. Connecting to the same smiling face over and over again. So we're I think we're not enough, not far from completely, but far from enough understanding how much we need to give more love to each other. We're so far away from understanding that. We need to make it a point to smile to someone. Even if we don't feel like smiling to them. Even if they're not my favorite person. With one I'll smile more, with one I'll smile less, right? But we need each other's smiles. It actually says it's better King Solomon says, that giving someone your white teeth is better than giving them a glass of milk, right? That basically a smile is more than giving them something materialistic. That's what it really means.
Why are people willing to settle for just physical pleasure? That momentary physical, yes, there is a spark of light in it, but why are people willing to, why do they gravitate? Why do they settle for that? What puts them in that kind of state where they're willing to just go from one momentary pleasure to another?
There's that, not so ancient saying that says, right, that women give sex to get love. Well, all the feminists are going to get at me now, right? And and men give love to get sex. Now, it's not completely true, obviously, because men and women are equally interested in sex in our days. It's not like, what we've learned or seen over whatever a few decades ago or whatever it is, right? But so that's like a little bit on a joking level, but there is a grain of truth in it. Women are slower to get into a sexual connection, an intimate connection with a guy than guys are. But yet women are more and more free sexually in our generation and are more interested in their sexuality. And it's easier, I think, to think that if you feed your sexual needs, you will end up feeling love and loved. But in the end, what happens is that we get ourselves further away from love by compromising on getting into an intimate situation before we have developed the whole
fertile
background, fertile ground for it. So it actually is interesting. Also, in a marital situation, we have the 2 weeks without sex in every month, which actually allows us to create, and that's what it's meant for, to create that fertile ground for true connection, so that we learn how to talk to each other. I mean, look at how sometimes when people are separate and they go into 2 different countries because of their separation, and all of a sudden they end up talking to each other or texting, talking.
Both.
Right? All of a sudden there's more of an emotional relationship than there was when they were together.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Right? And if that would have happened before,
while they were together,
right, then
they'd still be together.
They'd still be together. And in the meantime, what happened is that their intimacy has gone out of the window because, because there was no emotional connection.
Right, nothing nurturing it.
Right. So I think the question is like, what can we tell ourselves when we're easy to jump into bed, whether with our own husband or outside of marriage, when the emotional ground is not fertile. And I think that it's like, we know in psychology that we're being driven by 2 forces. And what are the forces? The forces are pleasure or pain. What will drive you is either chasing away from pain or running towards pleasure, which is, by the way, it correlates to the concept of love and awe in Judaism, right? Because what is it that we Judaism teaches us to do things for love. But if you won't do them for love, at least do them for awe.
To begin with, at least.
Right.
Yes.
Right? So we're trying to frighten you that you're going to go to hell. Well, Christianity does it too, right?
Yeah.
Everybody does it. All the big religions do it. We're telling you you'll go to hell if you won't do so and so.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But we want to find the love reason to do things, not the awe reason to do things.
Fear.
The fear.
Right.
So actually, Judaism divides, or like in the word yira, which is the opposite of love. It's awe, really. Yira is really awe. It's really not fear.
Right.
But we divide it to 2 parts. We divide it to lower fear and higher fear, or lower awe and higher awe. So what is the lower awe? The lower awe could be the fear of punishment, but it could also be the fear of not having a perfect connection. So when we're talking about God, it's like I could say, I don't want to lose the godliness in me.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could say, I don't want to lose the values that I've already established in myself.
Mm-hmm.
So if, let's say I was addicted to alcohol,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't drank for a few weeks, months, or whatever,
Yeah.
and I'm about to take a sip,
Right.
and I know that I'm not there, it won't end with a sip, right?
Right.
So I need to say to myself, look, you've gone so far. Why do you want to crush it for yourself now, right?
Yeah.
So it's not about so much like, God will punish you.
No.
You bring out the Gvura from within yourself
Mm-hmm.
to upbring yourself to the next level,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think that the awe, the fear of somebody will come to punish you, God will come to punish you, God will chase you, it doesn't work in our generation anymore so much. That's why the Baal Shem Tov said that towards the ends of time,
Yeah.
we will not need awe, we will only need love. And I think we've reached that point where we have to talk in a more loving narrative to educate ourselves into doing the right thing. So when it comes to love and sexuality, I think it comes into the place of telling yourself, you know how hard your will be broken after you have this wrong relationship, or even with your own husband.
Yeah.
You know how much you will regret having a certain intimacy that might fulfill your needs but will leave you empty in the end, because really you're emotionally so far away from each other. It will ruin your relationship even more. It's actually known today in psychology that couples who end up getting into bed without having a supportive emotional background relationship will end up divorcing each other much sooner.
It has to be communication. There has to be verbal,
right.
Emotional.
The more they have sex that it's not in correlation with love.
Yeah.
It's not in correlation with understanding each other, with talking about emotions, with doing the right things for each other.
Yeah.
It will lead them faster to divorce. So, everybody's got to be wise about their relationship and know when is the right time and when is not the right time. But in general, we have to be really careful about setting the right background for our intimate relationship. So we're being very uncautious. We're basically treating our body with lack of respect because we're treating our soul with lack of respect. So we drive our bodies into the wrong things that drive our souls into the wrong feeling. Ending up getting further and further from love instead of getting closer to love.
Yeah.
So what do we do with it?
There's also, Mary, there's also a lot of things, other things, emotional issues involved, like trust issues, and people have history, where they think one person opens up their heart and the other person doesn't, and love can be, relationships can be very complicated, and unless people are able to talk to each other about it honestly, how do you work? How do you cross all those divides? One person comes from a broken family; they don't even know what love is. The other, it's just a lot. As a person who's a single person, it's all very complicated because everyone's got so many different issues that they're dealing with. It's like, how do you give people the understanding of what it is they're working towards?
So one of the things that is actually in our parsha, in Parshat Balak, is that we say that one of the identifying points of the students or the children of Avraham Avinu versus the students of Bilam is a good eye. And I think it all starts with there. We're very judgmental of each other.
That's so true.
we don't give each other a good eye.
It's true.
We emphasize the wrong points instead of emphasizing the good points.
Fear.
What?
We have fear.
We fear of getting hurt, but we
Yes.
ended up getting hurt more. So what do we have to tell ourselves? It's all about self, what do you call it? Self,
Honesty or
no, no, I forgot the word.
care?
No,
No.
self-conviction.
Okay.
We have to find the right words to convince ourselves to do the right thing
Everybody.
all the time.
Everybody. If everybody were in that place, we'd be able to have, everyone would have a
Right.
decent relationship.
So we have to have this inner conversation
Yeah.
saying to ourselves, oh, you just looked at that person
Mm-hmm.
and you judged them. Now tell yourself something good about them in your head.
Because you're creating your own reality.
That's the commitment to love that we commit to when we say Shema Yisrael. Is that God sees the world for what it is.
He loves us anyway.
Exactly. And He sees every individual for who we really are. And none of us are perfect.
No.
And if God, the Almighty, is choosing not to destroy the world, who are we to destroy each other in our minds?
Oh, it's so true.
And so we're in a way taking away the carpet from beneath our feet by judging ourselves. And then you judge someone, you give them a judgmental energy, and they give it back to you.
Yeah.
And you both come home empty, or you both continue your day much more empty emotionally. Versus I commit to love, and I look at you and I see your good points, and you're getting filled from that, and you give me back that energy. You don't have to give me that energy, right? You might be giving me a jealous energy,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever energy, right? I saw a situation this week of, I'll try to tell the story in a way that won't disclose the people, but sometimes you're, like if you're really confident of yourself, it's easy for you to make space for others.
That's so true.
And since we're so unconfident of
Yes, we
ourselves,
are.
it's so easy for us it's so hard for us to make space for the other.
Yes.
So I've seen those two singers this week, and I've seen, most of them in this group give each other so much space. And then there was one who was actually, the more famous there,
Mm-hmm.
who apparently was so unconfident about themselves, and she was not able to give space for the others, even though she was the more successful one, she should have been the more confident one, and yet she was not giving space to anybody. She needed all the space for herself.
Bottomless pit.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that we should ask, how do we reverse that energy, right? So we're chasing being loved, and we have to reverse that by saying, I'm chasing to give love. B'chol me'odecha, with all my heart, with all my being, with all the energies that God had put in my hands to give love to the world. How do I not become jealous of you? How do I give you space? How do I see your good points? How do I emphasize them? How do I tell every person what's good about them, what's beautiful about them? Right? Make it a rule, make it a habit that every person you see, you tell them something beautiful about them. So that they will leave you elevated. They will leave you thinking, oh, I'm not so bad. I am a beautiful woman, I do have whatever it is, a beautiful man, a beautiful woman, a beautiful spirit. I'm wise, I'm good, I did this for someone, or you tell each other, you did this, you did that, you have this beauty about you, you have that beauty about you, whatever it is, right? Even complimenting somebody about their dress makes them feel better.
I know.
Right? Let alone about who they are inside or what they look like and their features. So we need to really make it a point, a rule in our lives to emphasize the beauty that we see in each other. And we need to emphasize walking the streets of the world and looking for the beauty of God in it. The flowers, the birds, the trees, the sky, the weather, the ocean, everything that we have, right? Seeing the beauty. Because when we see the beauty, when we see what we have, that wakes up the energy of love inside of us. Versus, what's the other end of it? Is the world is so awful.
Yep.
God, why are you even keeping it alive,
It's so bleak.
Right? And there's a lot of that. There's really a lot of that now happening. Because we see so much pain and so much ugliness and so much evil, and it's really easy to escalate to the level of just really becoming completely nihilistic.
Yeah, I know. But the truth is that as human beings, the only thing that we really have to strive for is having love. What else is there in life? What else is there to strive for? And under those circumstances, we all flourish. If you're functioning in a venue of love, everyone flourishes. Respect and love and caring and giving. Everyone flourishes under those circumstances. The person's giving it, the person's receiving it.
So one might say, how can I love if I'm not being loved?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or how can I, if I only had a romantic love, I would have energy to love the world, right?
I've heard that.
Or the other thing I see a lot is that we might say, also, the level of giving charity also. Right? If I only had enough money, right? But your actual 10 agorot could make a difference in somebody buying themselves a glass of water or not. Or whatever, a bottle of water or a sandwich, or your last shekel that you think is meaningless could actually be the difference in somebody buying themselves a sandwich.
Yeah.
So we underestimate what we have. So we need to understand that we have much more than what we appreciate. Start looking at that.
Yeah.
But also when it comes to saying, if I only was loved, if I only had a romantic love, I would be able to give it back, right? If this guy would only love me back, I would give him so much more, right? Or there are no good guys in the world, right? There are no good women in the world. It doesn't matter, right? But the question is, how much are you walking around looking for the beauty in that person? And I see so many people, they're like, he's 99% great. So, are you 100% great that you're looking for 100%? What gives us the right to look for 100% great and not compromise on the 90 or 99% great? We're so overtaken by thinking that we're so perfect and the rest of the people aren't.
Or we're busy rejecting everybody else before they reject us.
Right.
If I just keep saying that everybody else is no good, I avoid getting rejected myself.
Also.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is that instead of waiting for the world to love you, just start by loving the world. So when you start by loving the world and you put yourself out there and you communicate with people and you tolerate them, even if they're sometimes obnoxious and they're hard to deal with, and you surround yourself with the world, with people, and you surround yourself with a loving energy. It's like I see so many people saying, "Oh, there's such bitter people," but you're bitter too, right? So like if you learn to say that they're beautiful and you surround yourselves with them, even though you can take an hour of them, you can take 3 hours or whatever it is, right? but you don't walk around the world, I don't want to be friends with this one and I don't want to be friends with that one and I don't want to be friends with that one, because you're just blocking all the loving energy around you. But if you walk around of like, okay, I can be with this one for 15 minutes and with that one for an hour and with that one for a whole day, then you create space slowly. You train the muscle of love in yourself.
Yeah, it's true.
And after you've trained the muscle of love, then it's so much easier also to find romantic love.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It was wonderful yesterday. A few seconds with this person and 15 minutes with that person, and and of course I am of the theory now that whoever's being put in my movie is there for a reason, and I'm curious now to find out what's the reason. What's the and it's amazing. It really is amazing.
One of the most fundamental mitzvahs is love your neighbor like you love yourself. So it doesn't actually say that you need to love your neighbor or you need to love everybody actively all the time. It says love the one that is next to you like you love yourself. So it means give them a loving energy while you're with them. Right? Just don't give them that poisonous energy. Give them a loving, transform your poisonous energy into a loving energy. You don't have to be with them all day long.
No.
You can spend whatever time with them, but transform the energy into a loving energy while you're with them. So that both of you will leave that space with a little more love in your heart.
A lot of times people don't realize that they can do that, Miriam. I didn't realize that for a long time, that I could do that. That I didn't have to be run by my emotions. That I could actually turn it around and switch on a light and change the environment around me. I didn't realize that, A lot of us don't realize we can just do that. It doesn't just have to be conjured up. That you can literally make that decision in your mind that you are going to generate light and try to flip on the light in the person
just
standing
tell
in front
yourself,
of you.
I want to have a good thought about this person. Hashem, send me a good thought.
And he will.
Yeah.
He
Pray
will.
about it for a second, and it will come down to you. All those bad ideas that you have about a person, right, will disappear, and it will start. Your brain will start filling up with positive thoughts about that person.
It's amazing. It really is amazing. I used to admire people that had this ability to flip on this switch and generate love and how did they do that? I wish I could do that, because it's like it spreads out and everybody is affected by it and everybody becomes happy because this one person has flipped on a switch. You have that ability. It's like you can't. Everybody wants to hug you.
And by the way, it's not only about love. It's not only about love. It's also about humility. It says that actually Moshe Rabbeinu could have been or was born to be the least humble person in the world. Yet we learn
Yes,
from him humility
yeah.
in the end,
Yeah,
right?
he's an Egyptian prince there.
Exactly. But not only is it on the soul level,
Yeah.
he was created to be the least humble person in the world, yet he's the one who teaches us humbleness.
It's incredible.
It says about the Tzanzer actually told about himself that he was the stingiest person in the world, yet it's him who is teaching us how to be so generous that he could give his own clothes to another person.
Wow. He
Right?
overcome it.
It's like we learn. It also says about Avram Avinu, who we learn chesed from, that he was the least chesedic person. He was born to be the least chesedic
Really?
person in the world.
Wow.
Yet he is the one who reverses it to be the most chesed, the most loving person in the world. So it means that, and by the way, today we know it scientifically also on the psychological and also physiological level.
Yeah.
DNA is not a structure that is unreversible.
Yeah.
It's not only that emotional DNA is not irreversible, it's even physical DNA that is reversible. So
Yeah, I believe that.
everything is reversible. So we
Mind
can't
over
get
matter.
away anymore with saying I was born to be that way, or I was born to those kind of parents, or I was born with those kind of traits. We
No.
can't get away with it. We are here to reverse every
Negative trait.
lacking trait that we
Yeah.
have.
Yep. They're there for us to transform. That's
Right.
why we have them. So
Right.
we can transform them.
Right. By the way, traits in Hebrew
Mm-hmm.
are not called characteristics.
Mm.
They're called midot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're also called characteristics, but they're also called midot. Midot is the word for measures. So there's no negative trait.
Wow.
There's a negative measure of every trait.
Wow.
If there was no fear in the world, there was no cautiousness in the world.
Yeah.
Fear is the source of cautiousness.
True.
Take fear and over amplify it, it becomes anxiety.
Right.
Take fear away from your life and you won't be cautious from fire or from getting run over or from whatever it is, right?
Getting run over.
So we need fear.
Yes, we do.
There's nothing bad in this world,
No,
right?
I know.
Take anger even,
Right.
which could be the most consuming fire in the world.
Yep.
Yet if we're not using anger where there's lack of justice,
Yeah.
then we're also ruining the world.
Yes.
So every trait has its space.
Yeah. How, the way it's supposed to be used.
Right.
You think we covered all our bases? I think so. Now go out there and find true love.
Go out there and find who to love.
See only
Find-
the good in
Find
people.
how you open up your heart and look for the first person who needs a smile, who needs a hug, who needs
Amen.
sincerity, who needs a kind word. Learn or look for how you can activate the love in your heart. Have a wonderful day. May you shine with love, and may loving energy penetrate your heart and just completely embrace you, completely surround you, and completely be inside of you. You should love and be so